Some time ago, I had a friend that we called Tisky John. Why did we call him Tisky John? Because his first name is John. It turned out that John was a hardcore challenge gamer. What do I mean by this? When I found out that he had an interest in gaming and we talked about what games we like to play, he told me that he was a big fan of the Splinter Cell series and that he had completed a challenge where he finished an entire game without firing a single shot. Except he couldn't achieve this goal, as right at the end, you're required to shoot at the endgame boss to kill him and beat the game. I've never played the Splinter Cell games, and the likelihood of seeing John anytime soon is low, so I don't actually know what Splinter Cell game it was. John was outraged that he went to all of this effort to complete the game under these challenge conditions, only to be thwarted at the end. For some reason, it reminded me of Fallout New Vegas, one of my favourite games, and one of the most diverse games in terms of playstyle. There are countless videos on YouTube where people explore the possibility of completing the game without firing a single shot, killing no one. But right now, I think back to John and his single bullet run of some of these Splinter Cell games, and I think to myself, can you beat Fallout New Vegas with only one bullet? Now, spoiler alert, the obvious answer here is yes, you can. I just pointed out that it is possible to finish New Vegas without killing anyone, so if you killed only one person with only one bullet, the rest of the run would play out much the same as a pacifist run. So the real question of this video is this: I have only one bullet that I must and will use. Who do I use it on? Let's explore. Some ground rules: I have only one bullet that I can use from any weapon that I choose. I could use a missile launcher or even a fat man, but I won't, it would be too boring. I could probably take out up to like 10 enemies in a line if I line it up right, so I've decided not to use any of them. Instead, I'm going to use any conventional weapon that fires standard bullets, though I could use special ammo if I want to. And of course, it really depends on who or what I use the single bullet on, but we'll get to that. Next up, I can't use any melee weapons because it would be entirely pointless. Otherwise, I could just cruise through the entire game slashing and bashing people to my heart's content, only to whip out this machine and blast someone into oblivion, so what's the point? And finally, I will try not to use any special perks or quest scenarios to perform kills, the most prominent example here being the Black Widow perk to kill Benny at the tops by sleeping with him. Not by sleeping with him, there isn't a perk that lets you transmit an instant killing, sexually transmitted disease to someone for a stealth assassination. You kill him in his sleep by slicing his throat or something after sleeping with him. And those are our conditions, so I guess the real run is, can you beat Fallout New Vegas with only one bullet that I have to use on only one person or creature or robot, and they are the only person or creature or robot that I kill in the entire run, so I guess I'm just figuring out who is the most deserving to be killed in New Vegas. So, yeah. Let's begin. First things first, I made my character. I am using a few mods in this run, nothing game changing. I'm using the sprint mod, a mod that spices up the character creation, and a couple of texture mods and stuff as well, so nothing too fancy. After that, I'll sell all my unwanted items to chat since I don't need them and won't use them. Then I headed into the Prospector Saloon to speak with Sunny Smiles, gifting me a new weapon, the Varmint Rifle. It's fine, and it will serve me well at the moment if I decide to use its one singular bullet that I'll keep for myself. But then I ran into a problem.
Sarsaparilla bottles on the fence there? Take this and try to hit a couple of them.
Yeah, since I only have the one bullet, I could use it to exterminate one of these definitely criminal glass balls, saving the wasteland from a horrendous existence of deep flesh cuts, I guess, but no, I should probably save it. I tried to Mike Tyson the bottles, but Sunny Smiles appears to not be a fan of sports fighting and it doesn't count. That's fine. I still got the varmint rifle. I'll just go and speak to Ringo at the garage. Yeah, the door is locked, and I'm guessing it'll only unlock once you are told by Trudy that Ringo is hiding here. Cool, I'll head back and speak to Trudy. Yeah, so it looks like I have to satisfy Sunny Smiles' lust for glass shooting to spawn Trudy in, which I can't do. I even walked in to see if Joe Cobb would spawn in at his standing post, but no. Well, with nothing else for it, I went into the abandoned schoolhouse to unlock the safe and grab all the goodies from there. And with nothing else left to do in Goodsprings, I guess it's off to Primm. I skulked into Primm thinking it wouldn't be too hard, but I forgot that there are enemies in the outside area, so I'll need to sneak around them. Yeah, that didn't exactly go to plan. I ran into Deputy Beagle's house, raided his fridge and his gun locker, and planned my next move. If I can either sneak or quickly run around the side of the casino, I can get inside and speak to Jonathan Nash. Okay, looks like sneaking is out of the question. I run into the sheriff's house and do the honourable thing, steal his clothes and take his place. Primm needs a new sheriff. Only one that has just one bullet. Those enemies somehow managed to figure out that I ran from Deputy Beagle's house 10 feet to the sheriff's house. So once again I run off and into the casino where Jonathan Nash tells me about the heavy dodgy courier run I was supposed to do before I got some non-consensual brain surgery from Benny, and that I have to save Deputy Beagle to find out more information. So it's off to the Bison Steve I go. The enemies were kind enough to stop and wait for Beagle and I to have our conversation. They might be heartless killers, but at least they aren't rude. Beagle gave me the information I needed, and being the good Samaritan I am, I freed him and we made a break for the exit. Here I thought Beagle had took the time to find a hat for some reason, but it was actually one of the bad guys. How I took this long to notice this, I'll never know. I beelined for the exit hoping Beagle was in tow, but... I headed over to the casino to inform Mr. Nash that I was half successful and unsuccessful with my mission, wherein I did free Beagle technically, but he ended up getting killed in the crossfire. So it's up to me to find a new lawman for Primm, despite the fact I am literally standing here in a sheriff's coat. I left the casino and ran over to the NCR, where I decided I'll try and find a powder ganger outfit to head into the jail and speak to Myers about Primm. Then it looked like Sunny Smiles had suddenly decided she was the main character and headed over here to single-handedly save Primm, but it was just a prospector. She led me behind this destroyed building for what I can only assume to be something very unchristian, but thankfully she was disgusted at the mere sight of me and ran off. Just like real life. I headed over to the correctional facility. Inside, I spoke to Myers and he agreed to be Primm's new sheriff so long as I get him an NCR pardon, but now that I'm here, I'm kind of interested in what the powder gangers are since I've never actually been inside the facility without them all shooting at me. So I went and spoke to Eddie and he wants me to deal with some guy called Chavez who has broke off and started his own gang. Outside, Chavez's camp is pitiful compared to Eddie's prison fort as I convince him to quit while he's ahead. Now Eddie wants me to deal with some shifty merchant that's hanging about, so I head on over there making sure to use my insane mind powers to ruin this particular powder ganger's meal. The merchant in question turns out to actually be a bounty hunter, except he tells me there's no actual bounty on the powder gangers and that he showed up alone with no help, an incomplete disguise that's so bad I'm given 2 different speech checks to tell him he's an idiot. tried to shake him down for some caps, but then managed to tell him it's pointless to retaliate, and I guess that was that. Another successful speech check, but you know, Eddie has been pretty sound so far, so I could do him a favour. Nah, I'll save my bullet. Oh yeah, I found some 60s sleepwear somewhere as well. Decided I should wear it. So back onto Eddie, it is sexy and sleepy, where he wants me to head into Primm and figure out what the NCR are up to. Back at Primm, Jonathan Nash tells me the NCR are planning to roll into the facility and wipe out the gang, so I head back to Eddie to let him know. On the way, I do my usual and run past the two guys outside. They follow me down to the NCR area, and Myers gets involved.
My disappointment is immeasurable, and my day is ruined.
Okay, so I guess it's helping the NCR take over Primm then. So I'll have to swap out loyalties and help Lieutenant Hayes. Hayes will help Primm if he gets more troops, and I also told him I know he's going to attack the prison, which he then told me to get lost. And then immediately after that, I told him I wanted to help attack the prison, and despite previously telling me that the information was classified, tells me who to speak to start helping. Great work, Hayes. I'll have to trek up to the Mojave outpost to help Primm, but first I head back to the facility and get the doctor to fix me up, but instead he just gives me some injections right into a particularly private area, and my charisma gets boosted to plus 100.
Look at the size of that thing.
I decided to tell Eddie that the NCR are attacking, but they're already here. Thankfully, he gives me the option to join in, which I will politely decline by running away. The NCR storm the grounds and start massacring gang members left, right and centre. There was this one part where like 10 of them ganged up on this one guy. I ran away back to Primm where the NCR and Sunny Smiles from TMU were able to kill those two guys that were giving me a bunch of trouble, so at least there's a silver lining. I guess it's off to help the NCR take over Primm, up to the Mojave outpost, and blah blah blah, but then I remembered something.
Howdy, partner. Welcome to Law enforcement protocols reinstated, partner. Initializing use of force authorization. Authorization found. Yeah!
Well, that could have saved me about 45 minutes of messing about. Either way, Primm is saved, and I guess all those people at the correctional facility are dead, but they were bad guy gang members anyway, so it's whatever. More importantly, I still have my single bullet. Nipton obviously had nothing to it. I met the Legion here and reported back to Ranger Ghost about what happened there, seeing all the people that they put up on the crosses, blah blah blah, boring Legion stuff, typical playthrough. Now it's time that we get to stunning. When I get to Novac, I get some questionable medical aid and headed into the Dino Delight to speak to Cliff Briscoe. Cliff has the Paciencia, Paciencia, a unique hunting rifle variant that I want to use as my one and only weapon with my one and only bullet. So I sold off all of my other ammo types and extra weapons, stuff I didn't need, except the Paciencia costs about 17,000 cats. So I guess we'll just need to come back later for it. For the time being, I'll find Manny and ask about the great cans, see what else I can get up to here in Novac, with just one billet. I went to speak to Manny, but Boone was here, and then he wasn't. When Manny finally does get here, he wants me to clear out the rocket factory of ghouls, so I guess that's what we're up to then, with one bullet. On the journey to the facility, there are feral ghouls everywhere. I managed to sidestep them accidentally, knocking over this beautiful bottle display. Sunny Smiles would be proud. Took some drugs to run past more ghouls, but they followed me all the way up to the door, and inside there are more ghouls. But I just ran through the corridors to the metal room at the end and up into the area with Jason and Chris. Inside, the startling revelation that Chris isn't a ghoul becomes apparent, and he tells me to speak to Jason, and it's here, ladies and gentlemen, that I begin to contemplate my target, that Chris could be the lucky winner of my prized platinum billet. After all, he called me ugly, won't listen to reason, seems pretty mental. Maybe I'll just... Oh, the feral ghouls have followed me into the room. Well, Chris, it looks like today is your lucky day. I'll just quickly run up to Jason, who tells me I need to deal with some demons in the basement for him. Inside the basement, I just have to convince the leader of the demons, who are actually just Night King, that there aren't any stealth boys down here, which is what they're here for. And with the basement cleared, Jason and his cult can move in and start prepping the rockets for launch. To launch the rockets and help Jason on his great journey, I need to find some modules and an igniting agent. Now, I know that you can grab some of the rockets from the Dino D light, but I've never actually done the other method of finding the isotope, so I thought I would try that one. I'm expecting to run into a whole bunch of ghouls and stuff and have to do a bunch of running. Well, actually, it turns out it's just a bunch of geckos, and the igniting agent is just right there. Old Lady Gibson has thrust modules in her store, and they are worth 500 caps. Wow. I tried to smooth talk it into 250, but I still don't really want to pay that, so I guess I'll just wait until night time and steal the modules from her and head back to Chris.
It is almost time for the great journey.
Jason turns his back on Chris.
The great journey waits for no one, brother.
Mostly because Chris is a human, like I've been telling him all along, but he didn't listen and all the radiation will kill him. But it's still kinda sad, you know? Don't worry, Chris, you soft-skinned, balding genius. I will put you out of your misery. Actually, I'm just gonna leave you. It's kind of sad, and I think my billet would be wasted on you. Plus, he's not really particularly evil or too annoying or anything.
Leave me alone.
I head up to the launch pad to launch the rockets, but I'm curious as to where the rockets actually go. Okay, I mean, I'm not really sure what I expected, to be honest. Well, that's another quest done without killing anyone, and I still have my one bullet. And back to Manny it is, to find out more information. A quick trip to Cliff Briscoe to buy some water because I'm playing on hardcore, and I seem to have accidentally walked into hell or something. Probably just an issue with the texture pack mod that I'm using. Ah well. Got to the sniper's nest to speak to Manny, but it's Boone, and he doesn't disappear this time into nothing, and he tells me about how his wife was stolen by Legion slavers and he's looking for who did it. He's sure someone in town set the whole thing up. To do this, he gives me his beret to put on and... I'm to bring them out to the front of the dinosaur while Boone is on duty and put the beret on. This will signal to him who the slaver is. Cool, let's get to it. I ask a few people around the town, and while I'm in the motel lobby looking for people, I ransack Jeannie Mae's safe because, you know, and find this.
You don't want to be like this. This is disgusting. This is awful in every way. If I could kill it, I would. But I legally can't. But I've considered it.
It was her. Pretty sick stuff too. Turns out Boone's wife was pregnant, so not only did she sell a woman into slavery, she sold a child too. Shame on you, Jeannie Mae. Shame on you. It's here. Ladies and gentlemen, I have made my decision. How could I, the courier, go on in the Mojave knowing people like Jeannie Mae exist? Who will be next? I am going to do the right thing, the honourable thing, and use my bullet on Jeannie Mae. First, I want to let Boone know that it was her, so I walk into her house in the middle of the night because she leaves her door unlocked. I take her out to the front of the dinosaur, put on the beret, and Oh. Well, I guess that takes care of that. Okay, pause. So before we go any further, I do need to explain this. At the beginning, I did say I didn't want to use any quest objectives or anything to kill anyone, and that's still true. This run is supposed to explore an experience where I have the task to kill only one single person in this game, and the option to decide who it is. But if I facilitate the deaths of other people through other means, such as planting explosives or even just using melee weapons, then it defeats the purpose. That said, Boone's quest is one of my favourite quests in Fallout New Vegas. I love that you can actually ask anyone to come out to the front of the dinosaur and have him shoot them. I mean, understandably, he's pretty pissed when he finds out, but this quest perfectly sets up the rest of Boone's quest and his character. He's almost always my go-to companion whenever I play New Vegas. There's just something about Boone that intrigues me and has me wanting to bring him along on my adventure. That, and plus it's pretty funny, and also technically counts because he shot her and I didn't, so yeah, I did the quest because it's funny. Oh, and also, Jeannie Mae Crawford can go and fuck herself. Manny tells us that the cans went up to Boulder City with Benny and I should look for them there, and with that, Novac is complete. Now it's time for Boulder City. Reaching Boulder City, I considered using my one bullet on Private Kowalski, and then I considered using it on the memorial just to piss him off because funny, but it would really be a waste. The NCR are in a standoff with the Great Cans and won't let me in, but I managed to sweet talk my way in to try and negotiate with the Cans to get everyone out alive. Lieutenant Monroe tells me if they hear shooting, I'm on my own, and I tell him I can handle myself in a fight, despite never having actually been in one. I guess handle myself in a fight means bobbing and weaving around ghouls and escaped convicts enough to get away with stuff. I walk right in, convince Jessup to let the hostages go in exchange for his freedom, and I get a new quest to do some questionable stuff with Benny's lighter.
Here, a souvenir for you. It's Benny's lighter. Shove it up his ass when you catch up with him.
Convince Lieutenant Monroe, who seems to be the NCR's most naive officer, to go against orders and honour the deal. And that's that. Not much happening at Boulder City. Well, with that done, that wraps up the Mojave part of this video, and it's time for... Freeside is first up, and I stop by Mick and Ralph's because I want to pick up the Naughty Nightwear, as it's the only item in the game that can increase your luck skill, and I'll need all the luck I can get because I realise as I buy it, I'm fresh out of caps. I'm gonna need caps to buy the Patitucci, the whatever it's called gun from Cliff Briscoe, around 17,000 of them. So I head on down to the Van Graafs for some easy caps doing their guard gig, which is easy enough, and that's 200 caps in the bank. Now it's off to the Atomic Wrangler to do some work for the Garretts. They want me to track down and collect some debt that's owed to them. I get Lady Jane's money easy enough, except I'll have to sell some junk she gave me to make up the rest of it. It ruins her life in the process, as now she literally owns nothing, but whatever. Then I get Grex to pay up, but not before I watch him bully a poor Freeside thug for a while. As he does this, I'm thinking to myself that I like the outfit he has on, so I'll need to try and buy one later on, as I like to roam the strip in civilian clothes instead of armour. I do this in other games too, where there's a civilization hub or something similar, just because. He tries to skimp on the amount, but I catch on, shake him down for the rest, and then I'm given the prompt to take his clothes from him. So following on from what I just said about his clothes, I do. Santiago's next, and I head back to the Garretts with debt in hand, get paid, and now it's time to win some caps. Ah, right, well... Thankfully, the other Garrett has a quest too, to find escorts for his business, and I managed to sweet talk my way into getting 200 caps per find, so I guess that's what we're up to now. We can convince old Ben to join up for the authentic boyfriend experience, and we can get Beatrix to satisfy the ghoul plus cowboy fetish. Then it's off to get the fully integrated security technotronic officer for the Garretts.
Yes, sir. Vestal reporting for duty.
AKA a sex bot, which of course we should make sure is working.
Please assume the position. Servos active.
Let me tell you something. Let me tell you something. All right. Let me tell you something. Let me tell you something.
And then it's back to the Atomic Wrangler to collect our pay. A level up puts me another point into luck, and this time we'll make it big in Vegas.
Let's gamble.
Hot diggity dog!
That's more like it. With this money, I can pass a credit check and get into the strip where there are other casinos. And if I win there too, I can make up the caps to get the Paciencia from Cliff Briscoe. So onwards to... at Gomorrah, and I'm raking in the caps. The casinos give you little gifts if you keep winning before they eventually throw you out for winning too much. The Atomic Wrangler gave me a suit and some beers and stuff, and this was mostly the same at Gomorrah until I got a notification that they straight up gave me some combat armour. That'll come in handy later on. Well, I get kicked out of Gomorrah and I'm about 2,000 caps maybe away from the Paciencia. Guess I'll go clear out the Ultra-Luxe. The real skill of this here is having higher luck, as the chances of winning at blackjack are completely RNG, but luck increases your chances. That, and a little bit of know-how. Staying on anything higher than a 17 is fair game, hitting for more cards on anything lower than a 9, and doubling down for extra caps on 10s, 11s or 12s gets me wins quite quickly. I seriously doubt that this would work in a real casino, and I'm yet to find out. The Ultra-Luxe is much the same with all the winning, except when I get kicked out of here, they have the most vicious dialogue for it.
For a while, you were the toast of the Ultra-Luxe, but you're simply not in vogue any longer. Your act has gotten stale.
How dare you!
I'll show you Zen Vogue, except I don't have any guns, so you're lucky. On my way out, I treat myself to a drink at the bar and end up talking to this gentleman.
I'm looking for someone.
I'm to investigate inside the hotel and find his son, who suddenly went missing. Speaking to the lady of the hotel, it seems the White Glove Society are plagued by rumours of cannibalism. I tried to lie and say I too was a cannibal, but it only ended up disgusting her. Thankfully, she didn't throw me out, and I'm to speak to a chap named Mortimer about an investigator staying at the hotel who was investigating a different disappearance at the same hotel. Seems like something is up. I tried to lie to Mortimer again about being a cannibal, and it actually works this time, and it turns out they are cannibals, or at least they used to be, and Mortimer wants to bring back that lifestyle. But they kidnapped Ted Gunderson, Heck Gunderson's son, and he's too high profile. I have to free Ted, convince him and Heck it wasn't the White Glove Society and just a big misunderstanding, and secure a replacement for their meal. They were tailing some guy who lives up north now, so after freeing Ted and getting paid, I take a quick trip to the VIP suit that I won from gambling to rest up, and it's off to find a new meal. Convincing Carlisle to come to the Ultra-Luxe was easy. I head back and tell Mortimer, and everything is set. Ted Gunderson is alive, the White Glove Society can eat people to their heart's content. Yay? Whatever, it's easy XP for me and a few caps. Speaking of, now that I have all the caps, I need to purchase the Paciencia from Cliff Briscoe. I do just that, and it turns out that the price is now only 12,000 caps, so it's went down either because I'm idolised here or my barter skill went up, something like that, which means all the time I spent putting the casinos in Vegas out of caps was a waste. Great. Now that I have the gun with just one bullet, it's time to put that to good use at... Inside the tops is Benny, the man who shot us in the head and set us on this path, and since I only have one bullet, it's fitting that I use it on him. Who else would be more deserving? Except maybe Gina May Crawford, but that problem took care of itself. There's just one issue. All my weapons are taken away from me as soon as I enter the tops, so I'm going to have to get them back at some point, but they're locked behind a very hard door lock, and I don't have the skill to pick it. Well, I guess I'll just talk to Benny.
What in the goddamn?
Talking to Benny, he told me all about his plan to take over the Strip, which at first comes off as quite dictatorial to me, but it would be better than the NCR, obviously better than the Legion, and it would give Vegas its own autonomy away from Mr. House. I kind of get it, sort of understand his plan, that, and he clearly feels bad that he had to shoot me and that I was just in the wrong place at the wrong time.
What I did to you was rotten, but if you think House, the NCR, or Caesar won't kill to put Vegas in their pocket, I really did blow out your brains.
Maybe I won't use my single bullet on Benny. Maybe I can learn to forgive him. Maybe I could even help. Maybe, just maybe, we can... Oh, he's ran away and sent guards after me. Well, inside Benny's room is a reprogrammed Securitron named Yes Man, who instantly tells me everything I need to know, and I basically take over the role of Benny here, plotting my own scheme to take over Vegas. Next up is to meet Mr. House, and he berates me for my failure to capture Benny and secure the Platinum Chip, which, fair enough. He wants me to recover the Platinum Chip, obviously, so I set out for the Legion's camp at Fortification Hill.
At the camp, it's as grotesque as expected, and I consider shooting this guy for calling me a degenerate, but once again, all my weapons have been taken away from me. I snoop around to see if there are any weapons I can steal, and I do find some, accidentally stealing them right in front of Otho, but apparently he couldn't care less, so that's good, I guess. Talking to Caesar, I contemplate, I could just shoot him in the head right now. I mean, he is definitely deserving of that, right? Nah, it probably wouldn't go so well. That, and he's got a brain tumor, so it's probably going to take care of itself anyway. Benny is right here, though. I could blast him right now. A little payback. He did shoot me in the head after all, and when I did try and forgive him, he sent his guards after me and ran away. Caesar wants me to go into the bunker at the bottom of the hill and destroy what I find, but I'm obviously going to activate what's inside, and after that, he'll let me decide Benny's fate, which is cool. Inside, there are a whole bunch of turrets and robots defending the area that Mr. House conveniently can't deactivate, so I try to bob and weave through as much as I can, thinking I might have succeeded in this when I get to the last room and just make eye contact with these two turrets who proceed to rip me into shreds. Second time around, and I take all the drugs and stimpaks I can, and it sees me through. Back at Caesar, I can decide how Benny dies. This is it. The moment we've all been waiting for. My chance to finally use my one singular bullet. But I don't want to use it on Benny. For two reasons. Number one, like I said earlier, I do kind of see his plan and where he's coming from. And number two, forget all of that because he ran away anyway, and instead of shooting him, I can make him suffer even more.
I see. And how's that gonna happen? Don't do that, baby. Not crucifixion. I could be up there for days with those twisted creeps laughing and pointing. You sick, vindictive fuck!
This counts because he isn't dead, and if he dies in his cross, well, that blood is on the Legion's hands. They should up their crucifixion game. Fix it, I don't know.
Scram, will ya?
I swung by Camp Golf to pick up a Lucky 38 VIP card that was just sitting there out in the open, and headed back to the strip to sort out Mr. House. He hasn't actually really done anything to me, but I still want to finish the game with Yes Man and become the new Mr. House, only bigger and better. I'll be Mr. Mansion. Such a dumb joke. In his sub-basement, I open his fridge freezer that he lives in, and he essentially begs me to kill him. Well, Mr. House, luckily for you, I do have one bullet for one person, and since you asked so nicely, I'm not going to do it. Instead, because I'm so nice and so merciful, I'm going to let you live. After I disable your cerebral interface and leave you brain dead. Hey, listen, it counts. I didn't kill him. Upstairs, Yes Man syncs himself with the mainframe using the most Star Trek sound file I've ever heard.
Wow, Mr. House had quite a setup here.
And we are in. He shows me that taking out Mr. House was the right move, as for some reason he operates his Securitrons that he built without the correct drivers for the weapons they have that he gave them. Guy should really get a VPN or something. This would be the part where I would say the video is sponsored by a VPN company, but it's not. I've only just started this YouTube journey, so I'm nowhere near big enough for anything like that. So if you like the video and want to help out, please hit the like button and consider subscribing for more content like this. I met all the tribes for Yes Man and told him that I don't care about them, partly because I've made it this far in the Mojave without killing a single person with only one bullet on me, but mostly because my game kept crashing and I just wanted to finish this ASAP. I did manage to convince Papa Khan to kill Carl because Carl keeps his diary in an unlocked container in his room which is in the longhouse and right next to Papa Khan, and his diary in which he goes into detail about how they're all savages and the Legion will probably just end up killing or enslaving the Khans once they're done. Idiot. The Brotherhood were next, and I did destroy the NCR Rangers radio and nick all of his supplies to get rid of the bomb collar, but then I thought that they won't really be much help. George tried to bet me that I couldn't make it to the boomers without getting blown up, but that turned out to be ironic because Well, and I already helped the White Glove Society earlier, so they were good to go. And finally, we can ignore the emertas at Gomorrah, just because. It's anticipated that the Legion will attempt to assassinate President Kimball, the president of the NCR, and it's in our best interest that he lives. So I head on over to Hoover Dam to use my NCR street cred to get in on the protection of Kimball with him. I check some of the controls for tampering and stuff, but they're clean, and I try to check his vertibird when it lands, but I'm not smart enough to figure it out. I'm sure it'll be fine.
In order to make America great and glorious again, I am tonight announcing my candidacy for President of the United States.
Thankfully, I don't take all the blame here, as the NCR Rangers are clearly useless, and these two guys in the back just turn to each other in a comical Scooby-Doo fashion.
How did this happen?
Well, Kimball's dead, but it won't stop us in taking over the strip, so a quick trip to the El Dorado substation to install stuff for Yes Man, and we're finally at the end of the game. Now, I've still not used my singular bullet, so if you've stayed with us this far, then you probably know where this is going. At the end of the dam is the Legion camp, and inside, Legate Lanius, yet another character who is deserving of my bullet, and this time, there's no quest way to kill him, no Boone to shoot him in the head, there's no accidental boomer shots, nothing like that. And it's the end of the game. There's no one else after this to shoot. I've saved my one bullet for this chat right here, but it's only the one bullet. Will it be enough? There's no Fat Man or missile, simple 308 for the hunting rifle. So the question is one bullet enough to kill Legate Lanius? Let's find out.
And who are you to come before me? You don't bear the mark of the bear, yet you are ready for battle. I see you fight with words, like all beneath the flag of the bear. Until the day when our armies meet again, courier, I shall wait for you on the battlefield.
Let's pause for a moment. I have to admit something. You see, I have tricked you. I actually don't have that one bullet anymore. I've already used it. I used it way before the Battle of Hoover Dam, so I can't use it on Legate Lanius here. In fact, I used it before I left the strip, so I couldn't have used it on Benny, Mortimer, or anyone in Vegas. I used the bullet before I even got to the strip. So the real question here is, who did I deem worthy enough to let Benny be crucified? Let Legate Lanius retreat back to the east. Let Mortimer and the White Glove Society eat people. Let Cliff Briscoe keep ripping people off with dinosaur toys and guns that cost an extra 16,000 caps just because it's got a rag tied to the stock.